So today I'm building the most expensive watch that I have ever built. So if you're on a bit of a tight budget, this one may not be the one for you. What is up everyone, I'm Jason from jb.watchmods and today I'm building a skeletonized automatic chronograph watch, and I'm not joking when I say this is the most expensive watch that I've ever built. Now the last time I did an expensive watch build was this watch here, and the price of that came to around 220 Australian dollars, which I thought was expensive at the time. But the watch we're building today is going to be almost 4 times that price. So let's take a look at what makes this watch so expensive. This is our movement, and it's a skeletonized replica of the Rolex 4130 movement, which is used in their Daytona watches. Now this particular movement is also known as the SL4802. It's a 41 jewel movement and has a frequency of 28,800 vibrations per hour, which gives you that really smooth second-hand sweep. And it's got a power reserve of around 55 hours. Now this has got to be the best looking movement that I have worked with so far, and the price of this movement was just under $375. Now our case is a forged carbon fiber case and comes in at 38.5 millimeters with a thickness of 13 millimeters. Now I don't have the actual weight of this watch, but it is by far the lightest case that I've ever used, and it really gives me those Richard Mille vibes. I paid $268 for this case. Now obviously we're going with a skeletonized dial to show off that beautiful movement, and we're going to be pairing it with gold hands to highlight the gold accents on the movement. Now the price of the dial was $93.50 and the hands came in at a staggering $88. And lastly, I'm going to be pairing it with this bright blue canvas and Velcro strap, which came in at $21 and should really make this watch stand out. Now, with all of that said and done, the total cost of this watch came in at $845.50. Certainly a very steep price tag. Now, I cannot wait to see how this is going to come together and see if it is all worth it. So let's jump into this build. So here is our 4130 replica movement, and as you can see it has dummy hands fitted to the movement. So the first thing we need to do is grab our hand removal tools and remove these hands. Now I like to put a small plastic sheet over the movement just to stop it from getting any scratches, as we will see the face of this movement with the dial that we're using. Now if you don't have a dial protector, you can cut up a small parts bag and use that to protect the face of the movement, which is what I've done here. Now we can grab our dial, which has 2 dial feet on the back and should fit directly into our movement. And once we get that dial sitting in place, there are 2 small set screws on the side of the movement which lock that dial into place. So now that we have our dial firmly attached to our movement, we can move on to the next step, which is going to be setting our hands. Now unfortunately my camera died when I was doing this, and I didn't realize until I was up to the second last hand, which means unfortunately I don't have any footage of this build setting the hands. But if you do want to see how I set the hands, I've got plenty of other videos on this channel showing this process. And the rotor code that I'm holding there in my left hand is great for cleaning any smudges or marks off your handset. Now the last hand that I set when doing a chronograph is always the large seconds hand. And I like to place the minute and hour hand at 10 and 2, just to give me a clear line of sight to that 12 o'clock indice. I find that it makes it just a little bit easier to line up that chronograph hand perfectly. And another thing to mention is that I always stop and reset the chronograph before placing the second hand down. This way I know that the second hand will be placed in the right position. And once we get that hand pressed down in the correct position, it's always a good idea to double check it by stopping and starting the chronograph and making sure that it resets back to the 12 o'clock marker. And everything is looking great so far. So now we can move on to the next step, which is going to be removing our crown stem and preparing our case to accept the dial and movement. So to remove the crown stem, the crown needs to be pushed all the way in, and then there's a small button on the back side of the movement which needs to be pressed down in order to release the crown. Then we can grab our case and start to remove the case back. Now the case uses special screws to hold down the case back, and they require a special tool in order to be removed. But luckily they provide the tool when you purchase the case. So once we get the case back removed, we can prepare our case and get the crystal nice and clean. Now to do this, I always use my lens pen and an air blower. I found that it is the best way to get the crystal absolutely spotless every time. And once we're happy that our crystal is nice and clean, we can pair our case with our movement. Now to do this, I sit my movement on my movement cushion and place my case over the movement. Now when you place your case over the movement, I always make sure that I'm placing down the side with the pushers on first. This way the pushers won't get caught on your dial as you're sitting the case over the movement. Now it's time to fit our crown stem. So we'll grab the dummy crown stem that we removed earlier and remove the crown that came on it. Then we can grab our crown from the case and screw it onto the crown stem. Then we can fit this into the movement and see how it's looking for length. Now when I was doing this, I noticed that the movement still has quite a bit of play in it when it's fitted in the case. And that's when I remembered that the movement came with these movement clamps. So now is the perfect time to get those fitted. Now for some reason I had one hell of a time trying to fit these clamps. I spent a good 40 minutes getting these clamps down and it was nearly the death of me. But as you can see here, we got there in the end. And with that nightmare behind us, we can get back to cutting our crown stem to the correct length. Now I always do this by eye, and from what I could see, the crown stem was about 5mm too long. So I'm going to cut what I think is about 5mm off this crown stem and then refit everything and give it another shot. And to check the crown stem length, we want to screw the crown all the way down so it sits flush against the case. And I must say this is looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do is pull this crown stem back out one last time and apply some Loctite to the threads just to make sure that the crown doesn't come loose without us wanting it to. Now that we've got our Loctite on the threads, just make sure that you wipe off any excess Loctite before fitting your crown stem back into your movement. Then we can fit our crown for the final time and move on to the next step, which is going to be fitting our case back. Now, I would have loved to put a clear case back on this watch, as I feel like it's such a shame to cover up this beautiful movement. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to find any at this stage. So maybe that's a mod that we can make in the future. But for now, let's get this gasket lubricated in some silicone grease and then fit it to our case back. Now we're ready to seal our case up and fit our case back to our case. So we'll just make sure that our case back is sitting nice and flush against the case, and then we can pop our screws in and tighten them down nice and evenly. And when you tighten these screws down, it's a good idea to go in a crisscross pattern just so that case back tightens down evenly all the way around. So now we have our case sealed up, we can move on to the final step, which is going to be fitting our straps. Now I bought two different coloured straps for this watch, the white that you see here and the Tiffany colour. Now this white strap has actually grown on me quite a bit, but I think I'm going to go with the Tiffany coloured strap for now. I can always change them out later if I feel like it. Let me know in the comments section below which coloured strap you would have gone with. Now, before I forget, I've got a Patreon page, which I'll leave linked in the video description below. Over there, I do a watch giveaway every month, and we've built an awesome community of like-minded watch enthusiasts. So if you're interested in supporting the channel and helping me make more of these videos, head over to my Patreon, which is linked in the video description. But for now, let's flip this watch over and run some B-roll. And that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, I must say that I have absolutely fallen in love with this watch, which I guess makes it worth the steep price tag in my case. But I have had some difficulties with this watch. After wearing it for a little bit, I noticed that the rotor is fouling on the case back, which means the watch isn't automatically winding itself. Now, definitely not ideal, but the watch still does work as I can hand wind the movement. So all in all, I am really happy with how this watch has turned out. It's a little bit unfortunate that the case and movement don't pair together perfectly and that something is going to need a little bit of modification to make it work, but hopefully it's just a quick fix and a minor issue. But that is going to do for today's video. If you've liked the video or gotten anything out of it at all, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video.